Apparently it's the wine glass? Was it that it hasn't been drank and that if he got strangled to death, he'd probably be struggling and it probably would have gotten knocked over? Maybe?
Take that!
This is a wine glass, is it not? Please, look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. I guess it's like a weird thing, because you see a vase got knocked down, everything's kind of in shambles, but the wine glass didn't fall down. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken. His makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well, yes, I see your point. However, this glass that's sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say? Oh, well, yes. It is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth?
What is it, Your Honor?
Your opinion.
You don't need my opinion. Because there's no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place by the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking.
That does sound very plausible. Mr. Wright?
Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? There's no way. If I appear weak here, the trial's over. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. They just might fall for it, if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table.
You've turned the situation on its head yet, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
There's no way he has any, definitely not. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass.
Only one? Well, whose were they?
They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were one of Adrian Andrews. What? That is why I said the person who discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Carita. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser.
What you just said makes a lot of sense.
Now, do you see, Mr. Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything all too well. Grrr. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I've come to discover.
Wait a second. Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict.
Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution is yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking?
Well, I guess you can do that. I won't stop you.
Oh no, it's all back again.
Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat. Gotcha. Grr. I wonder what happened to that calm composure you had earlier. Oh, edgy boy. It's been, what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more than happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony. Who knew that under that helmet? It was the wicked witch of the witness stand. I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm gonna tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have anything to do with that terrible crime. Miss Witness, the terrible crime is all this court needs to know. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-tat. Ooh, shush. I'm talking to my dear edgy wedgie right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps. Yes, ma'am. No, please. By all means, interrupt her. Please. Anyway. Witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say, that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag? It was a great job being able to see my dearie one. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean you are a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that in guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Carita. But those two are the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night. Very well, that's kind of weird. Please, tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Now she's serious. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was in guard, mad in guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So Mr. Engard came from out of the victim's room.
See, it has to be him. He's the murderer.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room.
Kind of weird, but Miss Oldbag, what was your post on that night? Oop. Not that.
The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show. But I refused to help. I'll have you know. It was for that lead-headed samurai show. I even took out a few of the nails.
Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on.
Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little.
And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door?
There was something I was interested in finding out, you know.
Something you were interested in? And just what was that?
It's not some little thing. I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. And Edgy Poo too, of course.
Mr. Edgy Poo, well, what is this thing she was interested in?
I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor.
Gossip? But should it prove relevant, you can always have it appended to her testimony later. Looks like we should enforce it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time.
Hold it!
Oh, then would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Kurita's room? I have no idea. I wasn't born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am. Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct? That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. Oh, I meant to press that.
Hold it!
Who in the world was that? I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information is to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of Juan's room. He was... Yes, he was. I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Franziska's whip right about now. Well, I guess I can tell you, since he was such a bad boy anyway. It was in guard, not in guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room.
Hold it!
You saw my client? Are you sure about that? Yes, see. Really? Annoying brat. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. What was the person carrying, maybe? What was the man you saw carrying? In which hand? His right or his left? Now this is a real mess. I mean, I can't be expected to answer such a vague question. Indeed. Please be more specific with your question, Mr. Wright. Sorry, what was the man you saw carrying in his right hand? He wasn't carrying anything in that. Oh my god, that's annoying. Alright, then what about his left hand? Empty. Well, this whole thing has been a lot of nothing. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? It was very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor.
Objection!
Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. You don't really have to put it that way to get me to say, Mr. Wright, there's something much more valuable than a person's pride. And that is time. Please don't waste this court's precious time with worthless questions. Yes, Your Honor. I think I just wasted his good favor. She may not remember things or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us, really bad. But that's how the human mind is. It also has the tendency to jump off topic. She's strayed onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? But that's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? That's because you're not the one who is to question her. So let's try to press some of the other stuff, I guess. The person's face? Please tell the court about the man's face in more detail. You don't need me to tell you about his face. That soft, gentle look in his eyes and his effeminate lips. His right eye covered by his silky hair. His sparkling, shiny teeth. His teeth were shining? Well, he's shining all around in this week's pinup poster, dearie. This week's pinup? Why do you... I mean... I don't care how he looks in this week's issue. Please stay with what you saw that last night. What? In Guard's face is the same no matter where it is, you know, you whippersnapper. So, Mr. Wright, was this important? It was not important. Guess it really wasn't that important after all. Mr. Wright, do you know why we say time is valuable? If not, I suggest you learn. You've wasted 3 minutes of this woman's youth. That's more valuable than gold to me. Why do I suddenly feel old in the presence of her childish whining? Alright. Let's try the last one and see if anything happens there. Oh, crap. No. Alright, let's try the person's clothes. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are. Really, as if someone like that matters, or something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing. That racing jacket. He was wearing that at the detention center too. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important? Okay. Yes.
Objection!
I guess not. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Oh. Oh, no, I guess that was important. I request that the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony. Don't quite see where you're going with this, but... Alright. Witness, please. Well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must... Is that the, I guess he was wearing a racing jacket rather than a hakama, maybe? Are you sure the defendant was wearing a racing jacket? What do you think? It's not like I've seen him in anything other than that horrible thing. I'm sure he was wearing it. She's so sure of herself that it's to the point of self-absorption. Let's try this.
Objection!
Miss Oldbag. What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? It's button number 2 on the Jammin' Ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here, give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. Wow, she really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Engard's body during a full body search. See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was that rascal Engard. It was caught up in the pleats of his nickel samurai Hikama pants. See? And Engard is the nickel samurai. Witness. Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination. But just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Engard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the trendiest dress, then maybe instead I'd have to put up with wearing a ridiculous-looking outfit. Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Engard, the man, but Mr. Engard, the nickel samurai? But when you think about it,
They're really one and the same anyway. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change.
Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify.
All right, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. In guard. Yes, now I remember. The Nickel Samurai, that's right. It was the Nickel Samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn that Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. Didn't you just say that he was wearing a racing jacket? I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside the costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. Ah, youngins today, I told you there was no way it was anyone else.
How do you know that?
Because I said so, and what I say is the truth. At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago.
Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
I just hate how much they just lie, and it's like, well, actually it was this way instead, and the judge is like,
well, yes, that makes perfect sense. Yes, I will totally believe you even though you're a known liar. And you've lied many times. I'm not a smart man.
In guard, yes, now I remember. Would you please get on with your testimony? Watch your language, young man. What sort of tone is that to take with an elder? My youthfulness isn't what it used to be, so you should forgive me for everything. If you keep on barking at me like that, I'll start singing at the top of my lungs. What? A striking figure by the sea, standing all alone is he. He's the Nickel Samurai. She's actually singing. Someone help my poor ears.
Mr. Edgeworth, can you please do something about this racket?
Witness, I'll give you a piece of gum later if you'll be good and just stick to the facts. Okay, you promise, right? Right. You're sending the bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later date. Remind me to send you a thank you note later too, Edgeworth. Old chum. The Nickel Samurai, that's right. It was the Nickel Samurai I saw. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket. And now he's not? Not too long ago. Then let me ask you this. When you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, I, wanted to be Judge Wackener, hero of the public's court. So what? See? And look where you are now. You're not Judge Wackener, are you? Are you? Well, what I said earlier. Who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? Since the judge lets it happen. All that matters is that man was inside the costume. Isn't that enough? Yes, it would have been convenient. Oh, I got an achievement for that. It would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. And why would that be? That way, no one could see his face, of course. But there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you would think the costume would make him stand out all the more. You are such an annoying child, you know that? You disagree with everything I say.
Isn't that what you're always doing to me? I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of his costume. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know? Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show? Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing. And that included the Jammin' Ninja? Of course it included him. That's why when a guard came out of Dear One's room, I didn't give it a second thought.
I see.
Well, anyway. So he must have worn that nickel samurai costume when he was stabbing poor One. So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it really was the nickel samurai. As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning? Can I throw in the towel yet? You don't need to think too hard on this one. Huh? There's a contradiction in her testimony and it's sitting in plain sight. The question is what that contradiction means for us. Well, I have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. Alright, so I didn't really know where the contradiction was here. But apparently it's right here. He must have worn that nickel samurai costume when he was stabbing poor One. And apparently the reason why is because the costume includes the costume includes gloves, so we wouldn't have left fingerprints.
Objection!
Please take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all.
That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct?
Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case?
You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it.
Is that what you're driving at? That's exactly what I'm driving at.
What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving?
If Mr. Engard was really in the nickel samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off.
Oh, that's right. The nickel samurai wears gloves, doesn't he?
Objection!
He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing.
Objection!
And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There's no way he would do something like that. However, there's one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. We killed the Batman. The defendant went to the victim's room, while in costume as the nickel samurai. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off.
But the murder still did take place.
It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim.
Yes, I have heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what did you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory?
So let me get this straight. Mr. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. But we already talked about the whole, that it was premeditated, right? Now up to this point, are there any problems? Yeah, there's a contradiction. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. But in this court, we're allowed to do that, you know, and not, like, the witnesses suffer no consequence, you know, like, you're not going to jail for lying to the court kind of thing. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Engard was the killer, if that's the case. I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. Wait, what?